said, I'm no blues singer, never been depressed. Cause blues singers sing about their own depressiveness. I don't care about my man leaving me. I know I ran him off of getting on top of me. I'm your good news blues. I'm your good news blues. Cause I didn't choose to lose. I'm Holly the good news blues. Good evening and welcome to the 2017 Chicago Blues Hall of Famers. And I am your host, legendary Holly D. Maxwell, the original Black Blonde Bombshell. And I'm so thankful to be honored to present to you some of our legendary, our living legendary people and icons, club owners, musicians, and those that have gone before us. I'm absolutely honored to recognize them because of their contributions to music and what they have done to make sure that them clubs on the north side is still existing. Ain't nobody gonna say that but me. Now, right now, I'd like to introduce you to Betty Payton White, who is the goddaughter of the iconic club owner, a legend, a living legend, y'all. And that's Pops Harris Hayes. Harris Pops Hayes. Mm-hmm. I call him Pops. How you doing?
Good.
You all right?
I'm good, Holly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Betty, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing well, Holly. Thank you.
That's good. I'm so glad to have you two here to lay down the history that people need to know about. They need to know about what you contributed, and thank God I was a part of some of that. And they need to know what started all of the music legacies on the South Side, and Pops, you are a part of that. Mm-hmm. So I'd like for you to tell me about from day one to you sitting right here.
Well, I started out with a club called in 1965
Mm-hmm.
at 8665 South Vincennes. The name of the club was Betty Lou's Lounge. That was my wife's name. Mm-hmm. That's what it was named after. And during that time we had the set that Von Freeman created later on, become very famous later on. Myself and my brother-in-law, his name was Eddie Calhoun. He was a great jazz musician. And we were in 3 different locations. Von Freeman was in one location, Calhoun was in another, and I was at home in the bed because I was working nights. So we decided that same set that Von run all the years later on, that's where it started at 8665 South Vincennes. He had John Young was mostly playing.
John Young, the keyboard player?
Mm-hmm.
I used to work with John Young.
Yeah,
John
Eddie
Young
Calhoun
Trio.
was the bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Vaughn was on the saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to call them his young horses. He'd bring in his young horses. Everybody wanted to be where Vaughn was because Vaughn was the master.
He was the cat.
That's
he
right.
was the guy, Von Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother George also.
Yeah, George is still around, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know all of them.
Well, Betty, tell me where Pops, where did Pops go from there, you think?
Holly, Pops, he's absolutely iconic.
I know.
Pop,
I know.
He's being modest. Pop actually owned and operated. Pop actually owned and operated 14 bars.
You're kidding.
None of them were named after him.
Yes, okay.
And most of them, people didn't even know that he had ownership of them because he either leased them out or whatever.
Isn't that something?
But he's been in this business for 52 years. ownership of venues that have brought blues to the South Side.
You know what?
And-
See what I'm talking about, y'all? Y'all need to know this history because I don't know no North Side clubs that own 52 clubs. Well, you know I had to say that. I just started something. Go ahead, on girl.
As he stated earlier, his first club started back in 1965, was called Betty Lou's, which was named after his first wife. And that was at 86 in Vincennes. Pop also, although he owned 14 clubs, there were the ones that were most significant, I guess, the most popular that we would remember today would be, he had the Fantasy 1 and the Fantasy 2.
Okay.
And I know that you know about the Fantasy 1, which was on
55th and Normal.
55th and Normal, that is correct. And then he also had a Fantasy 2, which was located 9942 South Torrance
Okay.
on the south side. And this club was, when he bought it as a different owner, what was the name of that club at the first? Carol's Place, Pop?
Well, I owned when it was Carol's Place. I owned it when I turned it into a commercial bar. It was a VFW hall when I bought the building, and I turned it into Carol's Place. Then it become
Then he later turned it into the Artie Bluesboro White Fantasy Show Lounge.
right.
And they operated that club for several years until at which time Artie became ill. At that time, the club was then named the Rocking Horse.
That's right.
And it was from there, the Rocking Horse at 9942 South Torrance, where Pops retired as a club owner in 2014.
And I'd like to also make mention that, Pops, you remember telling me, I'm going to tell you what you told me. You may not want me to say this, but I remember what you told me.
What was that?
We was at the Fantasy Lounge on 55th Street, and Betty, he looked at me, he said, "Oh, you entertainers crazy."
Well,
And
was
then
I
he
wrong?
ended up marrying Coco Taylor.
Was I wrong? I wasn't wrong.
Isn't that ironic?
I never will forget that as long as I live. He married the queen of the blues, Coco Taylor.
That reminds me of, I once heard the great disc jockey, Purvis Spann says, "Show me a good musician, I'll show you a damn fool."
Well, you know what? I remember we had so much fun. Well, you know what? I've only been that I can remember. I might have been and didn't know it, but I can remember being in two clubs. That's the Fantasy on Normal. You remember down there on 55th? Baby, you talking about you couldn't get in that place. You couldn't get in that place. Boy, you talking about all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Then that place was all sorts of crazy stuff going on. But music, I mean, the music was abundant, and entertainers, they would come in and they loved each other.
Yeah.
See, there's a difference now today. But when you come into Pop's Place, the Fantasy Lounge, and the Rocking Horse, we loved each other. And baby, it was going on. I mean, it was something to behold. It really was, you know. And I just need everybody to know that this is where this is so amazing to me to be sitting here with Pops, because Pops, I remember back there on 55th and Normal, Pops used to stand behind that bar, and he looked at all of us. Y'all just crazy. Oh, y'all crazy. That's what
I
Pops used to
remember a
say.
line you used on Jimmy Mays one time. You guys was playing down there, and Jimmy Mays was the drummer.
Yep.
And they was working downtown, working on the street somewhere, and you told them, say, if we keep playing the way you got, all of us gonna be. You don't play no better, all of us.
I said, what, baby? What was going to happen, honey?
So if you guys don't play no better than you playing, we're all gonna be on the street.
I sure did. Jimmy Mays, I asked that. You're wonderful. So Betty, no, I have to say it because Jimmy may be watching this show eventually, and I don't want Jimmy, you play your ass off good.
Good guy.
Oh, listen, you know what? I love doing this kind of a show because it's real, and you know, I'm just so glad to be a part of this. I really am. The 2017 Chicago Blues Hall of Famers. You know, a lot of times, those that are financially greedy, they wait until we die to capitalize off of our talents. And I'm very passionate, and I don't bite my tongue about it because it's been happening so long. And I'm so glad to be a part of this Chicago Blues Hall of Fame because we are honoring those that deserve it. The blues is our music. You know, hip hop is even in country now. Did y'all know that? Well, the blues is our music, and we must preserve that. And I will do that any kind of way that I can, you know. So Betty, what else you want to tell me about Pops that we don't know?
Well, I would just like to say that I think it's just wonderful that men like Pop, the club owners, are being honored. And that because without them having these venues for the musicians and the artists to showcase themselves, they never would have become known.
That's right.
So I think it's just the greatest thing that it is that they are finally being recognized. And I thank you for that, Ollie.
You know what? I thank Garland Floyd for calling me and making me a part of this. You know, it's about time. It's about time. I've been saying this for years and years and years, but now I can say it out loud where people can hear me. It's about time we did something about this here. And whatever I can do, I might be, I don't know, Martin Luther King in a dress right about now. But I do know this, I will not stop, and I will continue to honor our iconic club owners because they made it possible for me to sit here, and that's the truth. What we like to do now is go to a commercial and let you see who some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right?
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean,
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Golden's Tropical World. Come to Golden's Tropical World for tropical fish of all sizes, colors, and types, and other small animals like iguanas and birds from all over the world. There are beautiful tanks, pet supply needs, including dog and cat foods, and expert consultation. Check out Golden's Tropical World, 8611 South Ashland Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. Call ahead 773-239-8809. Your Pet Shop.
Every now and then I get that feeling, and I've got something I want to say.
One of the great things about being a vegan is that the uniqueness of it.
And I've got to say it my way.
So gathered with me today are just a sampling of those vegans who have become loyal supporters of Soul Vegetarian.
Welcome to Soul Vegetarian Restaurant.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
And hey, we're right black. I told you we'd be black and all white, didn't I? Now, we're here with Betty Payton White and the iconic club owner, Pops Harris Hayes, Pops Hayes. Listen, while we were doing the commercial, we were talking about Betty Lou's, and we need you to explain how that name came about and who are some of the people that came through Betty Lou's.
Well, see, with Betty Lou's, that was the second Betty Lou's that Pop opened up, and it was 1700 West 63rd Street. So I'll let him explain why it was called Betty Lou's North. This is where he began to showcase the blues.
I see.
You know,
I
he
see.
was showcasing jazz, blues, and different types of music, but this is where a lot of the blues artists started to showcase themselves, like Machine and Company, Sidney Joe Quarles, and Artie Bluesboro White, and other artists. This was all started at when Pops had his Betty Lou's at 1700 West 63rd Street. But now, as to why it was called Betty Lou's North, I can't answer that. We'll have to have Pop answer that for you.
All right, Pop.
Simply because it was north of 8600 in Vincent. It was actually north of that, so we called it Betty Lou's North.
So it wasn't north side, it was just
north of,
It was
north
north
of,
of 87.
of the original Betty Lou's.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, he's a genius.
And that's where we had started having the blues because the jazz was pretty much took over Betty Lou's South. So we started having blues down there, and that's where I met Artie Bluesboy White, Willie Maybon, Eddie Boyd used to come through there, Memphis Slim had come through there. Or some of the blues people that come through there. And a lot of the young guys that started playing with Machine Company, the youngsters, their parents wouldn't let them go out. They'd let them go out with Artie because he would be responsible to make sure that they behaved, you know. But the parents wouldn't let them go out just with any musician, you know.
Yeah, well, Artie was very good at being trusted with.
Oh yeah, he's a very trustworthy person.
Yeah, he was. But we're going to talk about Artie shortly. But I want to get back to you. Let me ask you this question. I wants to know, an inquiring mind wants to know. When did you start courting Coco?
When my friend Mildred got to, she was a matchmaker.
Mildred?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short Mildred.
Yeah, you know, Mildred, she was with the, what was it, the
Catholic Charity.
Coco Taylor Foundation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was Mildred. Boy, look, Mildred, I hope you're watching. Boy, you know you was meddlesome. She Mildred would just get everybody together all the time. That was like her job in life, putting people together, you know. So okay, I can understand that, but how did that go for you?
It went well, very well.
It worked well, didn't it?
Very well.
Got married.
Yep, got married.
Talking about we crazy.
You'll say you're crazy, but I got married. Yeah.
I'm gonna take that personal because I know me. Yeah. So anyway, but I'm so glad to have you guys here. I really am. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
I can't think of anything right now. If I do, I'll let you know.
Okay, just jump on in there. What about you, Betty? Anything?
No, I just wanted to thank Pop for having those venues, those 14 venues that he had to showcase the blues in the city of Chicago.
Yes. Very instrumental young man here, Pops Harris Hayes.
Great times. I remember some of the blues people that come through there. My God, you can't. Sometimes I get to thinking I can't remember all of them, you know, but then you just, one little incident would bring somebody's name up, you know.
Pop, you also owned the club that is now Mr. G's when it was my house. That was your club also, right?
Yeah, well, I had something to do with it. I was in with it. We brought Johnny Taylor out there one time. In fact, Purvis Band brought Johnny Taylor in for us. Yeah, we had nice.
Yeah, this man has been going on a long time, long time, and I'm just honored to be able to interview you, Pops, after all of these years.
Thank you so much, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
After all of these years.
After all these years, we've
Yeah.
been around each other a long time.
Yeah, we have, baby. We sure have. You know, I look at Pops, and Pops did so much for me. In fact, I'm writing about Pops in my book, dealing with an adversity that I went through, that I overcame, and that Pops helped me with. So I just want you to know I don't forget, and I thank you.
Well, I remember you so well. I remember your mother coming down with you, and I used to enjoy you spend so much time with your mother, bring her down out with you, and we have great times. It was a great time.
Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to another commercial, and we're coming back with the great Artie Blues Boy White's legacy.
All right.
Thank you, Pops.
Thank you, Aaron.
So much.
Thank you, Doc.
God bless you.
Thank you.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Why? Why? Why are you following me?
Why my hoodie make me look suspicious?
Why does my music make me dangerous?
Why are people that are supposed to protect me attacking me?
Why are you afraid of me? Why do you think I'm dangerous?
Why do I afraid of people who are supposed to protect me?
Why can't I make a peace sign without you labeling a gang sign?
Why does standing your ground only work when I'm on the ground?
Why do you show this photo over this one?
Why do you only stop and frisk me?
Why do you have low expectations for me?
Why can't I run down the street without causing alarms?
Why do you think I'm a thug?
Why do you assume I'm armed?
Why can I breathe?
Why is my mom scared every time I leave the house?
Why are you targeting me?
Why am I a target?
Why?
Why? Why? I know why.
And it has to stop.
It must stop.
Because I have dreams.
Because I can change the world.
Because I'll make a difference. Because I have a family.
Because I am strong.
Because I'm talented.
I have a voice.
I can find a cure.
I have goals.
I can lead the country.
I am determined.
I have a future.
Because I'm a scholar.
I am powerful.
I'm someone's friend.
I'm someone's brother.
I'm someone's son.
Someone loves me.
And because my life matters too.
My life matters.
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 All lives matter.
And so did theirs.
International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. Over 20 years of armed security experience. The very best in shopping mall security, inventory watch, find missing loved ones, investigative open legal cases, community policing. Are you taking a vacation this summer? For peace of mind, you need our House Watch service, cheetah surveillance, and much more. International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. That's 1-773-675-8506. Call now.
And we're back. Like I told you, it's going to be with the legacy of the great Artie Blues Boy White. And sitting here with us again is Mrs. Artie Blues Boy White, Betty Peyton White. And we also have Artie's son, who you know is Artie's son because he looked just like Artie and looked like he spit him out. And don't y'all run away from TV because when you see him, it's going to scare you. This is Joe White. Joe, don't he look like Artie, y'all? I swear he looked just like that man. Looked just like him, don't he? Looked at that. Well, anyway, Joe, how you doing?
I'm blessed in yourself. How you feel?
Guess what? I'm great. I am just great. I'm so glad to have you here. Who would have thought that we'd be doing this? You understand? Boy, you know what? Your daddy was great because he got us all together right here, ain't he? Yeah, he got us all together. Listen, I'd like to ask you something. What was your father like growing up?
Speak loudly, Joe. You say, what was he like?
Yeah, what do you remember? What are some of your fond memories?
I probably don't even have enough time to say that because he was a fun guy, you know.
Yes, I know, yes.
He was a real serious person, and whatever he did, he put his all in. He was a determined guy.
Yeah.
And he had a real love and passion for his music.
Yes.
You know, the blues was basically, not basically, that was his life.
Yes.
You know. I remember having a conversation with him, and he told me, he said, ain't many people can live their dream. He said, but it's safe to say I can. He said, when I came from Mississippi, my dream was to be a professional blues singer. And he said, I've done that. So he said, God been good to me.
All
so,
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was real fun coming up. He was real serious. And he had his comical parts.
Yes, he did.
And he had a lot of wisdom and knowledge.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
A lot of people used to say, man, you missed your calling. Instead of being a blues singer, you should have been a comedian.
Yes, he should have been. Yeah. Also. Yes, he should have been also. You know, I have fond memories of, I remember, I got to tell you this, Betty. Let me tell you this. Before you guys got married, he had this club called Bootsy's on 55th and State, girl. And when he closed down the club, boy, look here, we was up in there gambling. That's what we would do. And I became the barmaid. I go from singing to the barmaid. And there was one little guy, he had a real high voice. And because and this is the truth, because I couldn't keep up with all the different prices, I charge $9.99 for everything.
I'm sure Artie didn't mind.
Guess what? No, he didn't mind. And if you want a glass of water, it was $9.99. This little man, you say, Artie, what kind of pomade you got over here? Everything is $9.99. Artie say, gonna charge you $10 for a glass of water, man. Go and get whatever you're gonna get. And he kept on walking. He kept on walking. Artie was a fun-loving guy. Oh, he was fun. I miss him. I really miss him because he used to look at me and he'd say, "You ain't singing nothing." He used to always say that to me. "You ain't singing nothing." And I just look at him. He used to scare me to death at first, though. And when he say that, and I really think he was serious because he had this serious look on his face. But I got to know Artie, and he was always full of fun. That's really what it was. Now I'm getting ready to change the conversation over here to Betty. Guess what? When this lady came into Artie's life, I just saw such a beautiful change. It was like it was like a spirit. Because you were good for Artie.
Well, thank you.
You were good for Artie, and you made Artie happy. You really did. I saw that. You want to talk to me about Artie?
Oh, just like Joe. When I came into his life, the Bootses, I did know him at Club Bootses on 55th and State. Yeah. The original Club Bootses on 23rd Street, I didn't know him at that time.
Yes. Okay.
And I never visited it. So my son will talk to you about that. However, I did have the opportunity to come to see him at the club on 55th and State, know of him and intermingle with the crowd. He was a very funny man.
Yes, he was.
After I came to start to date him in 1997, I started to meet. I met and dated him when he and Pop opened the Artie Bluesboro White Fantasy Show Lounge on 99th and Torrance. That's when I met him at the beginning of that stage of his career, and he was. And like you said, he was so funny. Sometimes he'd be speaking to me, and I would think that he was serious, but he was telling me a joke.
Right.
And it just until it took me years to get to try to figure out when he was telling me a truth or telling me a joke.
Right.
So it was just, it was an adventure.
Yes.
It was an adventure, one I dearly miss. I miss him so much. He was he was such a wise man. Such a good-hearted man,
yes.
And he had a passion for the youth. And that's what I'm trying to do now, to carry on that legacy and to keep up with that passion that he shared and he had for the youth through the Artie Bluesboro White Youth Scholarship Foundation, because I was able to see that. I remember one night, Artie and I had taken me to a concert down at the Soldier Field, McCormick Place, and when we got to the parking area, the car wouldn't start. Oh, I see, and naturally I'm the nervous Nelly. Oh my God, this car won't start. What are we gonna do? He said, I got it. Artie he was not one to get upset. He was a very cool man. He never panicked. He was cool. So this guy walked up to us and said, Artie, you got a problem, man? Everybody knew him, of course, and he said, yeah, my car won't start. He said, well, I'll jump you, it's not a problem. Well, at the end of that, Artie tried to pay him. He said, oh, no, man. He says, I know who you are, and I see how you treat the children in the neighborhood. You always giving the kids in the neighborhood money. So you don't owe me anything. This is your payback. And I just saw him in a different light at that moment.
Yes.
It's just like I saw him in a different light, and I would see him reach out in his pocket and give his last dollar to someone on the street. He was just goodness.
Yes.
And most people don't know that about him. And I know we're here to talk about the clubs that he owned and operated. You know, he had 5 clubs.
No, you talk about what you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
he owned and operated. Most people don't know him as a club owner. They know him as a great artist, an iconic
yes.
entertainer.
Yes.
Yes, you know, he owned and operated 5 different clubs. Starting out with the original Boosie's on 23rd Street. And in that club, I understand. I've heard stories of that legacy. However, I don't, like I said, I never went, but my son can tell you different things about that. He can tell you about how all the great entertainers came through there, and that was just the showplace for all of them to meet. And
Yeah,
I'll turn it over to him.
I even went through there on 23rd.
Yeah, Boosie's was during that time in the 70s. The blues was real popular, and you had different places that had been closed down, like the High Chaparral, the Burning Spear. Those was places that mainly showcase a lot of different blues artists. So when Dad opened up Boosie's, actually, before it became Boosie, it was actually Johnny Peppers.
Right.
And it was Pepper's Hideout. And it was called Pepper's Hideout because it was on the back street of Cottage Grove. You know, if you didn't know where you were going, you would miss it.
You'd miss it, or you wouldn't get there.
The good thing about that, everybody knew where they was going, because when Dad opened up Boosie's, that was the place to be. I mean, I was young coming up through that, but you know, he was my father, and he always was teaching me, and he never shut me off from nothing, so he let me see everything that he thought I needed to see. So I was always welcome to his club, even at a young age. And by the grace of God, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of different people: Tyrone Davis, Johnny Taylor, BB, Uncle Mill, Notice Clay. It's a variety of them. Basically, what I'm saying is, during that particular time, not only did Dad use that club to have shows, but he brought a lot of different entertainment there, just as well as entertainers. I look at a lot of entertainers now, and I can remember back then when they was young, started out. A lot of them started right there in Boosie's. You know, you had guys like Willie Clayton, but back then he was Little Willie. Dad and them used to let him come in there and play the drums, you know. Guys like Rico and them that went on to be good musicians. A lot of them can actually tell you, even though Dad had his own career, he was one of the most selfless guys that I seen in that industry. I'm gonna say that, I said that to say this here. He was about uplifting a lot of those up and coming musicians.
Right.
See, I watched them, even a lot of the guys now, whether they admit it or not, but I was there and I watched them, you know what I mean? And he would hook a lot of them young entertainers up with other musicians to go on the road to get experience. Guys like Rico and Joe Pratt and a lot of them, you know, I hear him talk about, I played with Albert King. I played with, yeah, but you didn't mention how you got there.
That's played with Artie first.
Yeah,
That's right.
You started with Artie, and
Right.
they came around the Boosie's and watched the entertainment and watched you play, and they would say, man, I need a guitar player. And Dad would say, hey, man, take Rico with you. Take Joe Pratt with you. Take
Right.
Dave Parker with you. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's right.
See, he was one of the most selfless guys that I had met in that industry, because his thing was he loved the music so much. His thing was to uplift and push the up and coming musicians. He didn't hold them back. He didn't say, man, this is one of my bad men. His thing was, hey, man, you got a chance to be famous and recognized. Go with him. Go with him. You know, and I listened to a lot of them a lot of times. I was like, you leaving that out, you know. But he was a big instrumental to a whole lot of them guys, and he loved doing it.
Yes.
And he did it unselfish as possible. His thing was, hey man, go on and be great. That's because he had a passion for the blues and he had a love for the people. And I always watched them. You know, I sit back and look at him. I was like, okay, you know. So it was a whole lot of sides to him. He was three-dimensional. You know, at one point you can catch him real serious. Then he in this humorous thing, and then he was you had him when he was giving you just pure wisdom. He was a guy that if you had any sense, it would pay you to pay attention to him.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And matter of fact, I remember, I don't know if you remember, years ago when you went on the road with him, and I was there.
Yep.
It was, was, we went to Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama.
Lord have mercy.
Right, we went to Mobile, Alabama.
That's right.
That was the first time I ever seen you perform.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Mobile, Alabama.
At Black Girls Club. I remember that.
That's right.
Oh,
Black Girls Club.
And I said that to say, Boosie's was, it was a real popular place. Even though it was the existing with there with Pepper Hideout, I don't think that Pepper had the kind of influence that my father did with the club, because everybody came out to that club. You know, Mr. Pops, you know, I still call him Mr. Hayes because I got to always stay respectful. Mr. Hayes, I remember him, you know, even when I was a kid, with the fantasy, and everybody came to Boosie's. You know, if you was in that industry, you had to be there.
Yep.
And, you know, the doors was always open. Even when they supposed to have been closed, they was open. When the place closed at night, like you said, the joint never closed.
It never closed.
You know?
It never closed.
It never closed.
It never closed. Boy, we had a ball.
Yeah, they would be in there till 6, 7 the next morning. When it Mr. Hayes, the place never closed. You know, the place never closed. Yeah, Boosie on 23rd in Cottage Grove, that was a big platform for a lot of entertainers.
Yes, it was.
It was a big platform.
I know. I'm sorry. I heard the story. I was told that Vernon Garrett was married in that club.
Yes. Yes.
That's what he told me. That he married there. I know that Vernon and Albert King and all of them, and ZZ Hill and all of them were very close to Artie, and that was their hangout.
Yeah.
And yes, I did speak with Vernon later, and he confirmed it, that he did get married in Artie's original Boosie's. But once Artie closed that Boosie's on 23rd Street in the early 80s, he then opened the new club Boosie's at 55th and State.
Right.
And I'm sure that you're very familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, he owned and operated 5 nightclubs, and most people don't know him for that side of his legacy.
Of his legacy, yes. I just know that Artie to me was a very special guy. He was very, very. I remember one time I went to the dressing room where he was at at Mr. G's, and he was in the dressing room, and I went in. I said, "How you feeling, Artie?" He looked at me. He said, "How do I always feel? How do I always feel?" I say, "Well, you feel good, right?" He say, "See, you didn't have to ask me that. You answer your own question." He always, I mean, you ever see anybody just positive? He was so positive till he was scary to me. He was so positive, he was scary, and he was a quiet positive. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but he was not a loud person. He was just like a quiet, positive, moving spirit to me. That's the way I saw Artie.
Yeah, he was a true family man. Also, you know, he said he was 3-dimensional. When he said Artie was 3-dimensional, what came to mind for me is entertainer, family man, and husband.
Yes.
Because he was a true family man, and I know that after I came into his life, the way he loved his family.
Yes.
He would do anything for them. He loved, you know, he had 87 grandchildren, and he loved them all, and he loved his family. And he was a great husband to me. I can't speak for his first wife, but I'm sure he was. But he was a great husband.
Oh, that's good.
And so in like I said, when I think of him as being 3-dimensional, I think entertainer, family man, and husband. That's
true.
That's very true. I can see that. I can see that.
You know what? That's so true. I look at him that way, Mom, because I know he was my father, but to me he was a friend because I learned so much from him, you know. But family was his first priority. It always been. That was his first priority, his family. No matter where he went or what he did, he kept his family with him, you know. Family was important to him, you know. It was 7 of us, and he had the opportunities to do all kind of things that entertainers do. But by the grace of God, you know, what he kept first was his family. And even after my mother passed and he married Mama, he still had that love, even more so. You know, I seen the different side of him that I didn't see. You know, I seen the more super compassionate, you know, guy. So I knew that, you know, that the love that he had for his family, his wife, was genuine, and it was what it was. His thing was to me, make sure, you know, no matter what going on, your mama, you got me. And I told him, you know what, I got you. You know, he would pick me up, and I would come pick him up to take him to go get his nails, and our conversation was about Mama. He would, you know, still push his wisdom to me about life and about family. But at the end of the conversation, it's like, make sure you watch out for your mama. You know?
And he's doing that too.
I know that.
I seen so much peace in him. You know, he was a man of God. He come from the South.
Oh yes.
And I seen so much peace in him, and I was like, even though you sick, whatever you want, whatever you got, I want, because he was so peace. And I know that came from Mama. You know, I'm glad that by the grace of God that she was there at his side. I'm talking about, when I say at his side, that's not a figure of speech. I mean literally.
I know.
You know.
I know.
I'm talking
Betty was God sent to him.
Yes.
That's the way I feel about it.
Well, you know, I always say sometimes when a person experiences something in life, a part of him be gone, so you consider a broken man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when he married Mama, I saw a broken man become whole again.
I understand.
So, you know, I seen that. You know, my father and I was close. We had this alpha relationship on. You know what I mean? Well, I know he was an alpha man, and he made me an alpha man, so he wouldn't hug me, but he'll say, hey, look. But at the end, you know, I love you. Yeah, I got you. We had a way of talking without talking. You know,
yes,
so,
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know again, this is an honor for me, because working with Artie Blues Boy White and knowing him, I'm so glad to be sitting here with his son and with his wife Betty to relive and reenact on some of the things that we know about the legendary club owner and entertainer, Mr. Artie Blues Boy White. And I'd like to thank you, Joe, for being here.
Thank you.
Betty, I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And Pops Hayes Harris, you know I thank you for being here, child, because I'm the entertainer that's crazy. And I'm still crazy. I'm crazy enough to be doing this.
I'd also like to mention that we have one of Artie fan club members in the audience, Florence Bruce.
Yeah, Florence, say hi.
Hi.
Well, I'm just glad that, again, that we are honoring our legacies. We're honoring this, and we're bringing it to the forefront. And we're going to be back here with some more iconic legends here for the 2017 Chicago Blues Hall of Famers. And please remember, whatever you do, love is.